Case 9-10, Operative Report, Septoplasty, Turbinate Reduction, and Tonsillectomy. Looking at Case 9-10 in your CPT, the Next Step textbook, I go right away to procedures performed. Number 1, septoplasty. Number 2, bilateral inferior turbinate mucosal reduction with radiofrequency. And number 3, tonsillectomy. Coding these 3 procedures, I'm trying to figure out how to put them in order. First of all, for septoplasty, I have code 30520. For the reduction of the turbinates, I have code 30140, submucous mucus resection of inferior turbinate. And for the tonsillectomy, I have 42826, which is tonsillectomy 12 years of age and over. Looking at these 3 codes, I simply opened a Word document and typed them out so we could take a look at them. My biggest problem is I'm going to need some modifiers and I need to put these in order. We've talked before about put the largest procedure first and then everything after that with a modifier 51, knowing that in the multiple procedure rule, the first procedure will get paid at 100% and everything after that is paid at 50% because of reasons like you did not re-prep and re-drape the patient, re-room the patient, anything like that. So looking at these 3 codes, I want to go back to the class, into the content and the shared files, and I want to do the lookup tool. I believe it's all the way at the bottom. I have in your, maybe went too fast, shared files and bookmarks. If you scroll all the way down, you see a 2017 fee schedule lookup tool. If you click on that, it brings you here and you can say Start Search. There's always a CPT agreement you need to accept to kind of get in. We've used this before. We want pricing information for 2017 for a single code, for a specific locality, and I want to know, first of all, let's say 30520 is our septoplasty code. And the locality we want is, let me see here, Iowa. Submit. Oh, please select modifier. Let's do global. Submit. Looking at that CPT code for our locality, it shows $580.08 is what we would be paid. I want to now, I write that down. Let's go back here. Septoplasty is what that was, $580.08. Let's go back to our lookup and look up code 42826, which was our tonsillectomy. Removal of tonsils. We've got 238.86. I'm going to mark my price down there. Go back to my lookup. And my last code was the excision or reduction of those turbinates. So 30140. Update those results. You'll see this code change here. Resection of inferior turbinate. 40762. Now we have 3 prices down. You can see the most expensive one is the septoplasty, then the turbinate reduction, and then the tonsillectomy. So if I was coding this, I want to make sure that I put my septoplasty first, 30520. Second, I want to put my 30140. And third, my 42826. Now, we need to look at modifiers. If you look back at case 910 at this operative report, we've got quite a few modifiers here. We know that on this second code here, we're going to need a modifier 51, and also on the third. Okay, we always put modifier 51 on anything past the first code. This is paid at 100%, this is 50%, and this is 50%. So our multiple procedures modifier is on there. But we've got some other modifiers here that we need to deal with. When I am looking at the tonsils at code 42826, I want to see if that's a bilateral code or if I have to note that it's actually bilateral, meaning I would need to put a modifier on there. So 42826, looking in my CPT code book, these are all usually bilateral. I have a note written in there that says usually bilateral, so we don't need to note the bilateral modifier 50. Now looking at the reduction of the turbinates, the 30140, this is resection, inferior turbinate, partial or complete, any method. I want to make sure that I'm putting a modifier 50 on. So putting that bilateral modifier on the code for the inferior turbinate resection is something that I want to do. I have two modifiers, which is completely fine. Here's the rule if you have multiple modifiers, however. You want to be sure that you put them in order, greatest to the least. Okay? So do you see how modifier 51, 50, if I wanted to put a modifier 28 or something, you put them in order of greatest to least if you need multiple modifiers. And you really can put up to 4 modifiers, I think, on every single code. And you can see here where we say, well, it's a multiple procedure and it was bilateral, and that's why we need to report that. So if you were coding case 9, 10, to kind of sum everything up, we did go out and use the CMS code lookup so we could find some prices. What I would do if we were really working is I would look in my charge master. So I would look up those codes in my system to see how much to charge. But here, for educational purposes, we can use the code lookup because it's pretty much the same thing for CMS. And then knowing how to put them in order, knowing how to put those multiple modifiers on that modifier 51, and then knowing that my turbinate one was bilateral. When you look in the paragraph and read, you can see that it was done on both sides. Okay, it says they were placed on both sides of the nasal septum and then secured, which means that it was done bilaterally, so we add that modifier 50 to that. I hope that this helps with an example like this and going through it for you.